Now let us see a write-up which is urging greater university community interface, stakes and ladders involve public in higher education, and it is written by Deepankar Gupta. Let us see it. Today, universities in India are belly good institutions. They are just about tolerated by the public because they hand out degrees that are often prerequisites for getting salaried jobs or for getting married. There is little expectation that students will excel in Indian universities, nor are faculty members taken seriously as knowledge producers. Universities are where one goes to in one's youth with a narrow utilitarian motive, but are otherwise not considered as vibrant public spaces. Though most universities are viewed with disdain by the public, there are some stellar exceptions to this rule. Yet, these universities too get tarred and feathered with the same brush by a very unappreciative public. This is primarily because all universities in India, without exception, have no time to relate to the non-specialized world outside. Consequently, they do not have the public in their corner, which is why they are constantly at the whim of politicians, big and small. Most Indian universities do not appreciate the importance of linking up with the rest of society in an ongoing fashion. They stand aloof in the belief that the mountain will always come to Muhammad. In the initial years after independence, when universities enjoyed a certain degree of prestige in the country, teacher activists did not pay attention to the public and instead aimed their guns at politicians. They won the early rounds, but their isolation from the public is now hurting them. Politicians have intuitively sensed this and are therefore emboldened to impose all manner of outrageous curricula modifications without fearing any public backlash. For universities to be able to function as true centers of higher education, they have to win the public to their side. This does not mean dilution of standards, but rather an elevation of research and teaching programs that are then meaningfully communicated outside the portals of the university. Indeed, without an appreciative audience, it is impossible to raise resources for universities. This holds true for both private and public grants. Universities in India have to realize that the public is an important stakeholder. This would fundamentally alter the way institutions of learning are run in this country. Faculties must recognize that their core competency in universities is to advance knowledge through critical research. These advances must be made available to public through lectures, science exhibitions, popular literary festivals, aesthetic displays, and so on. The community around universities would then feel a sense of belonging with the institution, which ultimately is the best guarantor for an unbiased and unprejudiced advance of knowledge. If politicians and their pet projects are to be kept at bay, then the faculty must demonstrate its competence not only to its peers but to public as well. If truth be told, ivory tower intellectuals are not intellectuals at all. Intellectuals that do not have a sense of engagement with their surroundings eventually produce the most ordinary tribe in the most bombastic fashion. A sense of engagement does not mean identification with political parties either. In fact, this is the most tempting and also the most dangerous choice. Once teachers are seduced into taking this option, it makes it easy for politicians to march in through the front door. For academics to pursue their intellectual agenda in a meaningful manner, they must have the public and not the politician on their side. But this public can be won if universities are able to communicate their scholarship to them in a meaningful way. When the public is an important stakeholder of the university system, the university will also devise ways of meeting public expectations and even raising public aspirations. New courses will be designed keeping in mind the changing needs of the day, and special attention will be given to those who, for one reason or another, cannot make it as regular full-time students. None of these would entail a dilution of standards. They would demand instead greater imagination and a more profound intellectual engagement with the world around. Once the public is accepted as a legitimate stakeholder, University teachers and researchers have a solid bulwark to protect them from political predators. Further, by accepting that the public has an integral role to play in the intellectual life of the university, there is a constant pressure to upgrade research and teaching standards. Only politicians can trade bad research for patronage and support. The public in general is more demanding and fair. It is true that not every good researcher will have a ready public support base, but the very act of taking collectively the public into confidence on research programs and inviting them as students and participants in intellectual gatherings raises the general appreciation of universities in the society. The valuable real estate on which most universities are situated are eyed hungrily by politicians. One sure way of making all this real estate appear as valid possession is to open the grounds and the buildings to the public when teaching is not taking place. This is how the university becomes true public property outside the reach of petty politicians. A stakeholder approach to university management recognizes that it is not by defying the public and making peace with politicians that institutions of higher learning can prosper. On the other hand, it is only by relying on public goodwill that universities can truly guard its core competencies.